that song playing again. On mountain tops, you stay the same. Valley low, oh, you never change. And I believe that I will see the goodness of. All right, I'm gonna wait for a chorus or something before I get started. Oh yeah? Faithfulness remains. You go before me to prepare a mercy. You made a way. It's more than I could imagine, more than I can fathom. You on mountain tops, you stay the same. Oh, you never change. And I believe that I will see the goodness of the Lord. I'm confident as seasons change, your faithfulness remains. You never change. You never change. You never change. God of my present, God of my future, you write my story, you hold it all together. God of my present, God of my future. Cool. I gotta send that link, send the verse. God of my present, God of my future, you hold it all together. This is my story. You hold it all together. And I believe that I will see the goodness of the Lord. My confidence as seasons change, your faithfulness remains. This is 3:10. That's funny, 10:10. God of my presence. Ah, what a little bit this has been. I'm trying to get comfortable doing more lives, figuring out what medium I like best. If I like Facebook, which Facebook is really putting a huge damper on my page and other conservatives' pages. I actually run a Facebook group called Women Who MAGA, and within the span of like 2 months, the Facebook is over censoring. If you try to post something, it says no, like, oh, are you sure you want to post that? Like, yeah, I'm that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to post it in a group. And you would think that in a private group they wouldn't be there monitoring it, but I guess have MAGA in the name, and I don't think they care. I think they care more. But anyways, the censorship is so crazy, and I think what I wanted to talk about today is just that thought process of freedom. I've just been like analyzing what's been going on, and people this week have been kind of crazy. with the announcement that from CNN that Joe Biden is the person who, president-elect, which seems premature because of all the stuff that's going on. People are being sore winners. Is that a weird thing to say? They're sore winners. Like, CNN said he won. Okay, like, you don't have to be in my comments threatening. It's kind of crazy. Just go enjoy your win. Like right now, let's see what the court says. Anyways, so it's just been like a yuck. It's just been a yucky for a while, and I think we all thought that after the election happened, everything would stop and it would just be so much more like, and it seems like it keeps going. So I don't know. It's a crazy space to be, because with just going along how I do with my memes, I think humor is a great way to communicate ideas, and sometimes there's a funny meme that works perfectly. And I posted one about Kamala Harris just the other day, which if you followed me for a little bit, you'd know that I kind of don't like her, and I think she's funny. Oh, gotta turn off the hate. It's crazy, and it doesn't even bother me anymore, because I don't even see it the way they see it. They see it Donald Trump and Biden. They see it Republican and Democrat. And I see it just as like light and darkness, freedom and slavery. Unfortunately, I put together slavery with evil, because I think it is evil to have somebody in any other way other than free. So I looked up the word freedom, and I looked up a verse. Yes, it's totally good versus evil, light versus darkness. And I get it that some people think that the Democrats don't see it. And so this comes very harsh to people. And I think there's a balance right now where people are like, that's not Christ-like, that you're talking like that. Like, this is hateful. Your rhetoric is so divisive. And God's just been showing me recently that actually, like, his word is divisive. His whole thing is a thing of freedom and choice. Are you going this way, or are you going this way? And at a certain point in the story, he's gonna say, okay, now the people who wanted to come with me, and the people who didn't will be separated. There's gonna be division. And so I've just been kind of coming to an understanding of, like, it's okay to feel uncomfortable in the division, but it's not okay to sin in it, I would say. It's okay for there to be divisions. It said in Matthew 25 that he separates the sheep from the goat. All right, it says, when the Son of Man comes in his glory, all the angels with him, then will sit on his glorious throne, and all the nations will be gathered before him. And he will separate them one from another, just as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right, and he will separate the goats to the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by the Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. And there is going to be a separation of it. I think we just have to kind of settle in that space and be okay with it. And something else that I'm hearing people say a lot is just let go and let God. And I just want to make sure that that's not a passive interaction with it, because I think that's also a false thing that comes from the left and from the father of all lies, that as Christians you don't fight. You can't say truthful things because it might hurt somebody, and that would be offensive, and that's not Christ-like. I don't believe that. The gospel's actually like I think it's called the great offense. The offense of the gospel. Yeah. Anyways, I was gonna say about the freedom part, that Galatians 5:1 says, for the condition of not being imprisoned, not being in captivity, for the condition of being free of restraints, to be able to act without control or interference by one another or a circumstance. For that reason, it says that Christ set us free. Stand firm then, and don't submit again to the yoke of slavery. So if people are coming by force to enslave anybody, a group of people, a nation, a person, the thought process of just, let go, let God is just to, okay, well, I guess I'm going here. I guess this is what's happening. Okay, sure, but why would it say stand firm and don't submit yourself again to a yoke of slavery? There's some conflict there. There's a space where there's a pushback. And it says that the violent taketh by force. And I just have a thought process that many are going to just disagree with and not say is Christ-like, but I don't know what to do about that. I think it is Christ-like. Let's look at another verse. Oh, this is good. This is another good part. It says, you were running well. Who prevented you from being persuaded regarding the truth? This persuasion does not come from the one who calls you. A little bit of yeast goes through the whole bread. So that means like a little bit of disinformation, a little bit of something that persuades you away from truth. It travels fast. I myself am persuaded in the Lord, you will not accept any other view. But whoever it is that is confusing you, may them pay the penalty. Now, brothers and sisters, if I still preach about, it says circumcision, but what that meant is like, if I still preach that you have to do this act for you to be in one standing and clean before God, like then the cross is abolished at that point. If you have to do works to be good with God, it's not by works. Just exist in the freedom. Put off people that are falsely telling you what the truth is. They're persuading you away from truth. I guess the space that been bugging me is that people are just so taking the president-elect as factual, and I think my heart breaks and is concerned about their intense belief in that as factual. I'm afraid of the fallout should anything happen with a change of the votes, of fraud, of anything coming out. Like, how are these people going to handle that heartbreak? I'm concerned about that. I'm legitimately concerned about that. I have friends and family that are coming onto my posts. I'm still posting the same way I always have had, posting about Kamala Harris and her history and jokes. And they're coming out, he is the president. It was fair. And when I'm like, there's no fraud, that's what they're saying. There's absolutely no fraud. That's unsubstantiated. It's like, well, do you want to see a video of it? I can send you something.
Vote bailouts, which means we get your votes and we separate them. So if some of these votes happen to say, like this one, Donald J. Dumb Trump, that one just don't make it towards the mayor.
I can send you a couple things if you'd like. No, I don't want it. Like, I don't know what to do with that. That is so confusing to me. Okay, like, even if you have proof, they don't want to see it, and it's so confusing. It's so confusing. I found this verse, and it was interesting. It's Ephesians 4:17, actually, which we like the number 17. It says, therefore I say this and testify in the Lord, you should no longer live as the Gentiles live in the futility of their thoughts. They are darkened in their understanding, excluded from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them and because of the hardness of their hearts. They became callous and gave themselves over to the promiscuity for the practice of every kind of impurity with the desire for more and more. I'm literally seeing this with people, like they just literally do not want to see it. They don't want to interact with it. It's not factual. They have given themselves over to the ignorance and the hardness of their heart. And we literally are interacting with people like that. It's crazy. And so it says in another verse that I found, not that one. It says in another verse that I found that to not worry about saying it to them. And I don't think we should be doing that. I think the people that are considered unaffiliate, or the people that are just staying quiet and questioning, not the ones that are yelling at you in the comments section, or arguing with you online, but like the people we interact with, we should just be becoming more comfortable with like talking openly, truth in love, about these truths that we see. I was doing one of my friend's hair the other day, and it was actually on election day. I asked her if she knew about what she felt about Hunter Biden's laptops, and she had no idea about it at all. So I told her like everything. I was like, literally, there are pictures, and it's disgusting, and it's gonna affect you negatively. And it was crazy to her. And in the conversation, what was awesome is that we found out how much we do agree on things, and all I preferenced it with was questions like, well, what do you think about this? Well, what do you think about that? I mean, if you followed Q, or if you, at the beginning, that's how he preferenced it too. You want to create that other person to start thinking. So you ask them these questions. Our friends and family that we've been in community with, like our people that we've known for years, even pre-COVID. I'm noticing people that have, there are people that have been so intensely affected by COVID and the thought process of the dangers of it, that they are in a trauma response. And the information that we have, be it our faith, be it the truth, be it love, is good news. So we got to shake it off of our heads that we can't talk about it, because I feel like we can. And we can do it successfully, and we can do it lovingly. And it doesn't have to be arguing on a screen. You know, I just don't want to engage in that anymore. And I don't. I try not to. Usually what I try to do is send a GIF. Like, okay. Ha 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 ha. You said I'm low in my faith. Okay. I don't care. I know the truth. I keep getting these. This is what I keep getting thrown at me yesterday and today. Shame on you. Shame on you. You should not be writing this post. You shouldn't have posted this. Shame on you. I'm getting it from family members, random Facebook contacts. And it's an interesting place to be, I was writing, because I actually know where shame comes from. And it comes from the father of all lies. And I'm sorry, but my shame was taken care of at the cross. You know? So shame on me. Okay. I don't have shame on me. So I don't even try to prove them wrong. I don't have shame. This is why I pax. I just don't even care. I'm not even going to engage in it anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I'll pray for you. Exactly. And we really should kind of pray for them, honestly. We should end the conversation, say, I'll pray for you, and like literally do it. My faith keeps being brought into context as I'm not being loving or Christ-like, and that my rhetoric is divisive. And like I was saying earlier, it's okay if your rhetoric is divisive, if it's based in truth and love, because the Bible, in all of its glory and beauty and all that stuff, it's divisive too. And that's okay. So, I know it's not divisive. The divisive part is like, I want you to go from being a goat to being a sheep. Like, I want you to not be, I don't know. Read the Bible. You got to read it, because there's so much good stuff in it. Let's see. I was reading this verse the other day, and it was Psalm 16, and it said, protect me, O God, I take refuge in you. You are my Lord, I have nothing good besides you. Then it goes down to say, the sorrows of those who take another God for themselves, their sorrows will multiply. And I feel like the people that we are interacting with that are so affected by this stuff, they have made their God they've put something else in front of their worship of God. And that's why this sorrow, this intensity, this offense, this, fear, this anxiety, all of that stuff is multiplying. Because they don't understand the good news. And so they're not going to understand it unless we speak it, unless we say it. Okay, this verse says in Ephesians 5:6, it says, let no one deceive you with empty arguments, for God's wrath is coming upon the disobedient because of these things. Therefore, do not become their partners. Okay, so that means like a separation. Do not become their partners. Okay. You were once in darkness, and now you are in light, in the light of the Lord. Live as children as of the light. So there's a difference. There's a separation. There's a division between light and darkness. When it is darkness completely, when you turn on the lights, there's not a happy medium. You can slowly turn them on, but the lights are still turning on. It says, for the fruit of the light consists of all goodness, righteousness, and truth. If you are following those things, if you're following goodness, righteousness, and truth, which honestly I'd go so far and say, like, if you're watching the news and stuff like that, the regular news, I would just turn it off. It's not worth watching anymore. I think we can fill that space with a lot better energy, a lot better things. My internet has been acting funky, and I'm definitely trying not to watch Fox News anymore. And so I'm listening to that song that I keep playing because it's my new favorite song. And I'll share it in the comments or somewhere. And yeah, we just need to change the atmosphere and realize that we don't have to fight as they fight, because we're on the side of truth, and that's awesome. Like, that's good. So we don't have to fight. The only thing we have to do is defend. And we just defend the freedoms and defend the truth. So, I don't know. It says, do not participate in the fruitless deeds. Okay, wait. I keep skipping this part, and I think it's important. For the fruits of the light consist of all goodness, righteousness, and truth. Because in light, there's nothing you can hold against goodness, righteousness, and truth. Nothing. Testing what is pleasing to the Lord. So all the information that you're getting, all of the stuff that you're participating in, if it's too much news that you're watching, if it's too much this or that, test if it's pleasing to the Lord, because it says, do not participate in the fruitless works of darkness. Watching the media nonstop is a fruitless work of darkness. We all are aware that that the news is like a propaganda arm of the left. It's shocking once your eyes are open to the lies that they just want you to believe and where they want this narrative to paint. And the people that are reacting really terribly to this environment are people that are so wrapped up in the news. They have been just feeding on lies, and we can't interact with truth in the way that they think is truth. That's not where we get truth. We get truth from the Word, and we get truth from, other primary sources, other things that don't have an energy of panic, of intensity, of all that stuff. So I don't know. There's certain podcasts that I thoroughly enjoy listening and watching. There's people on social media that I follow that aren't, always doing breaking kind of stuff. Like, it's logical. You can follow so much stuff. So readjust what you're listening to. And don't participate in the fruitless works of darkness, but instead expose them. And that's why you can't expose anything without talking, without sharing. You can't expose things by just not changing anything of what you've been doing. So if you're on the side of truth, it's time to start talking about it. Maybe if you don't want to share it on social media, start just making it an okay conversation to talk about. Instead, expose them. For it is shameful to even mention what is done by them in secret. When I told my client about the Hunter Biden laptops, oh gosh, that's how I felt. For it is shameful to even mention what is done by them in secret. You talk about the Hillary videos, what happened at Epstein Islands, satanic worship. Dude, it's disgusting. But it says we're supposed to expose those. It says everything exposed by the light is made visible. For what makes everything visible is light. Thank you, Jesus. What makes everything visible is light. Therefore it said, get up, sleeper, and rise up from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. There's nothing to be worried about in sharing the truth. Nothing. So We need to stop allowing the censorship. It's not only just happening online, it's happening in our hearts, it's happening to us in our mind when we're in conversations, when we want to bring up something. Ask God to temper, those conversations with him, with love, with truth, with kindness, with goodness. And I don't know. Hopefully it'll be good, but then also be okay with division, be okay with separating. It's a crazy balance, isn't it? Yeah, so when people keep saying, oh, you're not Christian, I can't believe you're saying all of this stuff, it's so offensive. The gospel's offensive. And Elijah, who's awesome in the Bible, he actually mocked the priest of Baal because their God wasn't showing up and doing what he was supposed to do. So Jesus flipped tables in the temple when people were exploiting it. So I think there's a range of ways you can act. There used to be war in the Bible. There's things that happened. Like, God didn't just call us to be like, oh, okay, like I don't do anything. Again, I'll tell you, just get in the Word. Ask God to show up to you. He will. It says, therefore, rid yourself of all malice. I looked up these words because I love the dictionary. Malice means desire to cause pain, injury, distress to one another. Deceit. Deceit means the act of causing someone to accept as true or valid what is false or invalid. I don't know about you, but that kind of sounds like the media. And it says to rid yourself of it. To rid yourself of malice, all deceit. Let's see. Hypocrisy, it says. Things that contradict themselves. I would say that is, remember we're saying a lot of the Democratic policies and stuff are like that. They believe in choice unless it's like a vaccine. They believe in freedom of expression unless it's conservatives on their platform. So it says to get rid of the hypocrisy, envy, all slander. And I looked up slander because a lot of people keep being like alluding that I'm being slanderous in what I'm saying about Kamala Harris or what I'm saying about Hunter Biden or what I'm saying about Joe Biden possibly being a pedophile. There's possibly. But slander says the utterance of false charges. False or defamatory oral statements about a person. If you can prove it, is it still slander? Like, you can prove that he was a segregationist, so I'd say he's racist. Like, I can prove it. Anyways, it says to get rid of all of those stuff, and like newborn infants desire the pure milk of the word. Get rid of all of that stuff, the news, the media, the fighting, wanting it out for liberals or anybody, Even this could even be preached to like Democrats. Get rid of all of that stuff that you hate about Trump supporters, about Trump, about any of that stuff. Get rid of it. And like newborns, infants desire pure milk of the word so that you may grow up into your salvation. If you have tasted that the Lord is good. And it says later on, it says that, Jesus is the stone that the builders rejected, and it was a stone to stumble over. It was like an offensive thing. It's something that is going to be offensive, and we just can't be under that thought process that if you're a Christian, you're not going to cause offense. You actually are just going to cause more offense than you would if you were just going along with the thing and just doing the worldly stuff. So this truth, it's light. When people have sit in darkness, it's offensive. When the lights turn on, they're like, turn that off. We have to be okay in that space of uncomfortableness with our people. We have to just be able to interact gracefully with people that have been just put in that space. I don't even know. It's the craziest. Exactly. We're not meant to line up with the world. Agreed. We're not. So this is really it. Like, you have to be okay in this space of not being accepted. Like, I have family members saying some of the most craziest things about me. I have family members that want nothing to do with us because, I'm talking about in-laws, because of Trump. It's crazy. And it's so intense, the hate. And I think we need to recognize that that's a spirit. And something that I found, something that we should take into precaution. Exactly. Jesus was persecuted, by the church too. They called him names too. They judged him for sitting with sluts and tax collectors and all that kind of stuff. They had their thoughts and their views about him and shame on him and all that kind of stuff. And that's okay. When you share in that space, you're sharing in God's glory. So it's okay. We have to be okay with all that kind of stuff. Something that I think we have to always remember is that it says our battle's not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and rulers of this dark world. Our battle is not against liberals out there or Biden or Kamala. It's against this operating spirit that is working through them, whether it's the Jezebel spirit, whether it's control. Either way, what it is it's slavery. And that's where it's that slavery and freedom aspect that we have to realize what we're fighting for and what we're conserving, and it's freedom. Take away the human aspect of it and just pray that that spirit of slavery be removed off of the United States, that people's eyes would be open, that people that are enslaved by darkness, by a veil of falsehoods, that their eyes be opened to truth, and pray that you're able and capable to come alongside of them and support and love on them and guide them in their understanding of right and wrong and darkness and all that kind of stuff, and Jesus. There's one more thing I wanted to end with before this. So this is Ephesians 6, and here I have 2020. How are you strapped? How are you strapped? Okay. Finally, be strengthened by the Lord, by his vast strength. Put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the schemes of the devil. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers of this darkness, against evil spiritual forces in heavens. For this reason, it says, take up the full armor of God, that you may be able to resist in the evil day, and having prepared everything to take your stand. And then it says, stand. Therefore, with truth like a belt around your waist. And when I read that, truth like a belt around your waist, you're not going to be exposed if you're guarded with truth. When you get depantsed, you're fully exposed and you're embarrassed, there's shame, all that kind of stuff. Your loins are guarded with a belt of truth. You're protected. You're not going to be exposed if you have truth. It says righteousness like armor on your chest, and your feet sandaled with the readiness of the gospel of peace. It says, in every situation, take up the shield of faith, which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Have a visual of that. You have your shield, and there's arrows coming. There's, division. Anxiety. Fear. What else? Offense. Coming. Instead of allowing those to get you, use your sword or your shield of faith and extinguish it. No. My God has all things taken care of. He holds it all together. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. So you're supposed to take this up in that thought process of being in battle, no matter what, and your battle's not against actual people. Pray at all times in the Spirit with every prayer and request, and stay alert with the perseverance and the intercession for all the saints. Pray also for me that the message may be given to me when I open my mouth to make known with the boldness of the mystery of the gospel. For this I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I might be bold enough to speak about it as I should. We should all read. You got to read that whole paragraph. Christian warfare. That's what this is. This is Christian warfare. It's 2020. We got to dismantle these strongholds. the election machine had a very suspicious name, Dominion. And I just thought that was very interesting, considering it's the Democratic Party that they are switching the votes to be successful for. Dominion. Dominion is supreme authority, ownership, control. That sounds like slavery. And what God's dominion is like having dominion over those things to say they're gone. You're gone. No, you don't get to come over here. I rebuke this from happening. And it's slavery. It's light versus darkness. Something else that's also very confusing and telling to me is the year 2020 divided by 666 is the text phone number for Joe Biden. And oftentimes on this paper, he would have battle for the soul of the nation. Sorry. Those are weird coincidences that I just cannot get past. They're significant to me as a visionary, as a visual person, and knowing that depravity of all sorts comes from that kind of energy, and knowing what the Hunter Biden stuff is. I just am not... Everything... That energy, I don't want to say, all liberals, Democrats, all that kind of stuff, but those things, those principalities, I'll say, are antithetical to my belief system, and it says to have nothing to do with them. And it says that God has actual dominion over those. So we need to exist in a space of we already won. And with already winning, I think we need to not be so reactionary to like the hype of the news or the anxiety or COVID or all that kind of stuff. He's trying every single thing to mess with us. I mean, my kids are now home from school starting like tomorrow. And it's like this, church, you can't even go to church. You can't even go into a store without wearing a stinking mask. Like, this is all so crazy. And I think we need to just make a point to like take some time in our quiet time and pray these strongholds down out loud. We have to talk out loud, because it says, pray that I might be bold enough to speak about it as I should. You don't speak silently. There's no speaking silently. That's not a thing. So that is Ephesians 10 through 20. I want you to read that. I'll close with one more verse. It says this, and this is a little prayer I want to pray over you guys. For this reason I kneel before the Father, from whom every family in heaven on earth is named. I pray that he may grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened in power in your inner being through his Spirit, and that Christ may dwell in your heart through faith. I pray that you, being rooted firmly and established in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the length and width and height and depth of God's love, and to know Christ's love that surpasses all knowledge, so that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. Now to him who is able to do above and beyond all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. To him be the glory in the church and in Christ Jesus to all generations, forever and ever. Amen. I just pray that you are empowered, that you understand the height and depth and width of his love for you. I pray that you feel peace in this space. And I pray that it draws you to worship and prayer. And I just pray that in your boldness, that God just surround you with bubble wrap, that whatever is said, oh, I'm not into conspiracy theories. Oh, I had one person say, I don't subscribe to conspiracies. This isn't it. It's like factual, like people. I pray that you see them and know that God loves those people in all their confusion too, and his heart is for them to be saved. And I pray that you understand that God is calling you to be bold, and that boldness to be tempered with love. And yeah, I just think we should be okay with division. It's okay. Division's gonna happen. It says in another verse that I did not come to bring peace, actually. It says that. Let me see. It says, do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but to bring a sword. For I have come to turn man against father, daughter against mother, daughter-in-law. All that kind of stuff is what he literally said in the Bible that he came to do. And so if we are seeing that happen, and we are on the side of justice, on the side of truth, on the side of love, if we're living in a way that's still kind and loving to others, we should be okay with that, because that's actually what Jesus came to bring. Everything's gonna be shaken, and it sucks. So my prayer is that you are loving and comfortable in the divide, and that you expose things that are done in darkness, and that you are encouraged to lead people to the good news of the gospel, that the best is yet to come, and that God wins.